Toronto police, this morning, they held a press conference that Toronto police officers were involved in some gangland-style corruption ring, and they unlawfully accessed personal information. And so we've got 7 Toronto police officers, holy, facing organized crime charges. And we've got a bunch of clips here. I think we should talk about all of them. This is
Yeah.
crazy. This is Chief Jim McSween.
And we will not rest until we are sure corrupt criminal actors and anyone abusing their power as a police officer is held accountable. While this is a deeply disappointing and sad day for policing, this investigation also underscores the insidious, corrosive nature of organized crime. It highlights how these criminals find a way to infiltrate even the most well-protected institutions across our society. The impacts of organized crime in our community, on our safety and well-being, cannot be understated. In this case, as you will hear shortly from Deputy Chief Ryan Hogan, investigators allege that Toronto police officers had unlawfully accessed personal information. This information was then funneled to other criminals who carried out shootings and other violent offenses. The investigation also uncovered evidence of other illicit activity, which will be outlined by Deputy Chief Hogan. This news is both shocking and completely unacceptable. Corruption has no place in policing. It's never and will never be tolerated.
I see a lot
crazy.
of people in the comments, though, who are like, "Where are the names?"
Yeah, that would yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, this is only a few months after, I believe it was the York Regional Police who told people to leave their key fobs at the front
Right.
door if they were facing, the imminent threat of an intruder. When as the province of Ontario goes through this string of carjackings from people's driveways, from their garages, like just in the middle of the night. And in order to appease the criminals conducting these acts, I believe it was the York Regional Police,
Yeah. I
somewhere in
think
the
it was
GTA
York.
anyway.
Yeah.
They were like, just leave your key fobs at the door with a nice little note and some cookies and offer them to
Yeah.
come right in
Put your
and just,
TV in the trunk so that they don't have to hurt their back ripping it off your wall, and stealing it from you while you're at it.
and
Yeah.
fast track now, whatever, several months later. Um, there's a whole host of internal corruption
An
allegations. These are
organized crime
serious.
ring inside the Toronto Police Service. I guess we
Yes.
should be grateful that they caught them.
Mm.
Allegedly, don't sue me. Um,
Better late than never.
I guess. I guess. Um, Now, Chief McSween mentioned that Deputy Chief Ryan Hogan would be giving more details. We've got that clip here.
Mhm.
Over 7 months, this investigation identified and disrupted serious criminal activity in the Greater Toronto Area that posed a grave risk to our community safety. This includes a conspiracy to commit murder,
What?
shootings, extortion, robbery, drug trafficking, and firearms offenses. This investigation also has uncovered serious allegations of criminal corruption among police officers. This includes 7 police officers employed by the Toronto Police Service and 1 retired member of the Toronto Police Service. It is alleged that these officers have demonstrated varying degrees of criminality and associations to criminal networks. The allegations of criminal corruption include bribery, obstruction of justice, drug trafficking, theft of personal property, breach of trust, and the unauthorized access and distribution of confidential information. We are alleging that some police officers who were collecting personal and private information unlawfully and distributing it to members of organized crime, which ultimately resulted in serious harm in our communities. Our investigation began in June 2025 when a conspiracy unfolded to murder a member of corrections management who was working at an Ontario correctional institution. Over a 36-hour period, a number of suspects attended this member's home in York Region, we allege for the purpose of murdering him. As you will see next, surveillance footage captures the moment that 3 men, masked and armed with a loaded handgun, returned to the officer's home and rammed a police cruiser that was in the driveway.
And 2 cars in front of them just wandering down the middle of the road. Cars coming up behind. Those are our vehicles. Let's take them down right now. Contain. Over the grass into a car. Keep going there, Jude. I have not seen anyone get out the passenger side, and I haven't seen anyone run around the houses. I have containment in the back. Keep doing what you guys do. I'm blocked out for some trees.
What in
Wow.
God's name is happening in York? I just made fun of them 2 days ago because they had some sort of gyrating drag queen on stage, and I made fun of the cops dancing in the background.
That's exactly
But
what's wrong with them.
yes, thank you.
That is exactly what is wrong with them, is they're too preoccupied with this woke ideological nonsense that internal corruption with conspiracy to commit murder. Like these are serious accusations and
They were going to
allegations.
like
It's happening right
they
under
were
their noses.
they were going to kill a corrections officer. And from what I understand, I was doing some poking around online sort of this morning as out between committee hearings with Gary and Andesangari. By the way, I'd love to hear what that guy has to say about it. He's the public
Yeah.
safety minister. But I think they leaked the home address of a cop to the gangs. This is insane. We've got our friend Joe Warmington at the Toronto Sun. What a good guy. We've got a video of him addressing both chiefs regarding the conflict of interests regarding internal investigations of the police. It's police investigating the police. Yeah, also, there's also that too.
The deputy just said it, that this started with the discovery of Constable Barnhart as a Toronto police officer. And I want to know why you would call the chief of Toronto Police on that when it was your investigation. The minute you call the chief of Toronto Police, now he's in a position where he's got a conflict of interest. And the second part would be to Chief Demke. Why did you not refer this to be investigated outside of the police service? You had 30 police officers from Toronto Police, including professional standards, investigating your own service on something as serious as a police officer having his house shot up. I think it's a fair question. I know it's a complicated matter, but as you sit here and listen to it, it's police investigating police, and it's all in-house. And so how does the public know? And more importantly, perhaps the officers that are contacting all the media people that are very, very upset about this, they want to know that as well. So it's probably for both chiefs.
Well, let me start. It was imperative for the Chief of Toronto Police to know immediately what we had uncovered about one of his members. And also because we needed the cooperation and the support of the Toronto Police Service to do some of the work inside to help us with the investigation. I can appreciate your question, but I have full confidence in our professional standards bureaus who work hand in hand with one another to do this very difficult work, but necessary work. So that's why I called Chief Demke immediately. And as was said here today, and I will reiterate, we had been lock and step with each other on this investigation, standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure every investigative avenue and resource that was required was committed to this investigation, and will continue to do that beyond today. Chief?
Yeah, thank you, Chief. And Joe, thank you for that question. I think it's a very important one that we unpack for people watching and listening. The Community Safety and Policing Act does have a regulatory framework around conflict of interest, and we adhere to that. In fact, this investigation was led by the York Regional Police. I was not provided an opportunity to make investigative decisions, impact the speed and flow of the investigation. None of those considerations came to me in my role as the Chief of the Toronto Police. That was solely in the hands of the York Regional Police Service. What we did commit to do is maintain the integrity of the investigation and ensure that the York Regional Police had every resource they need, that we could follow every single lead and make sure that we address every concern that was investigatively uncovered. And I committed to the chief, and we very expressly talked about there can be no stone left unturned in this investigation. And I committed to provide resources in a way that maintained the integrity of the investigation, but an investigation led by the York Regional Police Service, not by the Toronto Police Service.
Okay, just a quick follow-up on that. Very, very quick. One of the words, I'm going to ask it. The second question is, one of the police officers we understand was arrested while on duty or on paid duty. Can you comment on that, even the deputy?
I think in regard to confirming that incident happened, it has been reported that that did occur. I will say that, yes, a Toronto police officer was arrested yesterday in that capacity. But it was not related to the actions of the officer yesterday. It was related to the overarching case that we have spoke about.
Okay, so he was arrested on duty.
Yeah, that highlights the severity and the intentional public showing of the arrest, given the severity of the crime, potential crime.
I just don't know why the OPP aren't investigating.
Yeah.
Instead of like these guys just investigating themselves. Yes, okay, there's 7 officers charged, but maybe the OPP should be the agency of note here. Maybe the RCMP might want to come in and handle this so you don't have cops investigating themselves with overlapping jurisdictions. They all know each other. Why don't we get another agency brought in here? We have at least 2 that could come in on this. I'm not an expert, but just on the outside looking in, I don't know if you should be investigating yourself. That seems like something the Liberal government always does.
And I will preface this with allegedly. But this comes from the Toronto Crime Watch page where I don't know
I
if
guess
we can
they're
share
watching the
this
cops
footage.
now too.
I don't want to share the footage because I think it goes against YouTube's community standards for crime, active crime.
Yeah.
But this was all related to it. It's called Project South. And so this obviously is the Toronto Police corruption investigation. But here, I really like the way that Toronto Crime Watch broke it down. So they write York Regional Police uncovered evidence of numerous unlawful database searches allegedly carried out by Toronto Police Constable. And I like that they named names, but
Good.
allegedly. Timothy Barnhart and other members of TPS. According to investigators, several of the addresses obtained through the improper queries later became the sites of extortions, commercial robberies, and shootings. Authorities allege the confidential information obtained through the searches was shared with Brian DaCosta, Elwin Satanowski, and others believed by police to be connected to organized criminal networks. So in total, 3 active Toronto police officers and 1 retired have been charged.
In connection with the queries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this immediately the unlawful or improper as they state queries of RMS, the records management system that the police use, that's their database, points me back to, and I don't want to get too much off on a tangent, but to Detective Helen Gruce.
Right.
The Ottawa Police Service detective who is alleged to have done the same when there was a string of sudden infant deaths in the region, and her job was to probe as part of the SACA unit, the Sexual Assault and Child Abuse unit in the Ottawa Police Service. That was her duty to do that, and so this goes so far above and beyond an improper query,
Right.
like this is active criminality and real evidence of
This is for the purposes to commit murder.
not actually conduct an investigation or ensure that an investigation is conducted properly. Yeah, this is unfathomable, really. And I would say anyone who's interested, go check out the page. And I think that our own videographer, Lincoln J, also shared some clips. Again, I don't think they're appropriate for YouTube, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but this is damning stuff.